had times as well, but for the most part, stats-based analysis is not the best thing to do. But if you just go and look at the game scores, every player is negative, everyone's down CS, no one's having a great time. I don't want to be super negative about this team, but they need to give us something really positive to talk about.
Yeah, it's hard not to be. And, you know, the good news is for some of those clips and some of those engages, while they were a little ill-fated, a lot of times they were on the same page. Now, there were plenty of times where they were not on the same page. I would take a look at a guy like Moham in their last game versus Ultra Prime, where, you know, he had just flashed forward, going in very, very aggressively toward Grizzly, and the rest of the team wasn't exactly there to follow up, but they tried anyway. And ultimately, JDG, they lost a lot on that, and I feel like that was a big part of where the game went wrong.
And I mean, drafting is another thing as well, right? We were talking before about maybe looking at getting this team to find a little bit more of an easy executionable comp, something that builds their team up, makes them play on the same page, and allows them to find these team fights later on in the game. But it does suck starting your year this way. It's only been 2 series. We are, you know, being realistic, but there's tons of time to turn it around. There's a little bit of time for this first split, but it doesn't mean that they're out of contention for Group Ascent later in the year or having a good year in Group Nirvana through Split 2.
I like the thought of playing some of these simpler, easy to execute comps. The team that's under construction, their foundation is not looking so good, so maybe we need some more bricks. Let's play a Malphite or something like that, and try to have an easy go button that everybody can follow up on. Speaking of following up on one, let's go follow up on LGD and take a look at their roster after their match the other day against LNG. It's Sasa, it's Hung, it's Tangyuan, it's XIAOYA, and YCX rounding out this roster. JDG, you were talking to me earlier about Sasa and YCX and what they were bringing to the table for LGD. Yep, it looks like we lost JDG for a moment there. JDG did talk often about what they were bringing to the table. And one thing that I noticed when doing a deep dive is that Sasa is getting a lot of priority in these drafts. It appears that LGD are really giving him a lot of resources, giving him room to work on some of these big carries up in the top lane. He's not playing the stock standard tanks most of the time. He has put the Udyr to bed for the moment. We'll see, because he is always liable to pull it out at any time. And for YCX, it feels like a really, really good meta for him. This is a guy that has come through and he's played a bunch of different champions to start out the year in 2025. He was the first one to kind of pull out Seraphine, and I do think that Seraphine can bring quite a bit to the table, but the enchanters are really what I'm looking at. It is an enchanter meta right now. They seem to be his best champions. He has more picks on enchanters than he does on engaged champions. I'd say let this guy work. And through a lot of these clips, I think one thing to notice is that it just feels like they're so close on some of these fights just end up going so well for them. I mean, you know, this was their second game where they ended up winning. You take a look as we went into the second clip, LNG had managed to get a couple of kills in between, and you know, ultimately LGD were able to pull this off, and a lot of it was behind some engages from YCX. So this particular fight was definitely a little messy, but hey, if an Aphelios goes untouched, you are just going to win every time. This guy is so difficult to actually kill, and if you don't have any proper ways to deal with an Aphelios, it's going to be very, very difficult to actually win these games. So we'll see if LGD has another one in the back pocket against OMG. Again, we talked about it. OMG not doing so well right now. You know, they have so much to work on. It feels sad to say that their goal right now should be to just take a singular game off of, you know, their next maybe 2 or 3 matches, right? And there's no crazy punishment for finishing last in Nirvana and Split 1. But if you finish last in Nirvana and Split 2, because we're, Perseverance and Nirvana kind of meld together, that's where you're in trouble because, well, then you'll be finding yourself getting relegated like a lot of these other players did. As we have a couple of members in this particular game that had to stare down relegation last year. And that just means that you get to play less games. And playing less games stinks. You obviously want to play more games than less games. I think of a lot of players, like Harry, who was relegated. We're taking a look at, guys like Starry and Boham, who also got relegated. But there's guys on the other side as well. It's Hung, who was playing against his former team now that also got relegated too. Is Jay Beto, you have returned, so tell me how you feel about LGD.
I think that LGD are part of the reason that Group Nirvana looks potentially like the scarier group, which is outer Group Nirvana and Group Perseverance. I think that they make it quite scary. Obviously, we have to wait till these teams, or these two groups, match up against each other to fully see how that goes. But I think that in their losses to LNG, part of it was due to them picking comps and then not quite executing the comps perfectly. Things like Caitlyn Karma, they had push in bot and then weren't able to transition that to any Drake prio or Drake stacking, a huge win condition of a lane like that. They played Viari and they won that game, but they weren't able to find the combo at all. Outside of that, a potential concern, I think that YCX has found some really great engagers. I think that Sasa has played quite a good series against LNG, and XiaoYe can show up when it matters, but there are some pretty heavy-hitting ADCs in the LPL in general, not only in Group Nirvana, but LPL in general. When you get on into potential play-ins, playoffs, there are some stars,
without a doubt. And this is a fair test for them. I think Starry and Moham have had moments where they've struggled, but have also had moments where they've looked like the brighter spot on OMG. So I am interested to see how these guys stack up. They played against each other a couple of times last year, but YCX and XiaoYe have also built themselves a bit of a reputation as a duo through their play in 2025, and at times we're a big part of this LGD squad that was actually driving them forward and being the big carry. So we'll see if it's a return to form for them or if we're going elsewhere. As we see this lovely intro video that everybody loves, the shouting of the Gyos is really what gets me. I'm like, this is like before all these teams have played games and have had a chance to get mad at each other for not performing, which is fantastic.
Gotta start with some good mental, some good team communication, coordination. So we will get the walkouts coming out. Another thing that I've been enjoying for the LPL in general. It did say Rio there on the intro, but I believe that Junhao has been starting more often than not. So have to see who is ending up playing tonight on the full roster. But getting into draft soon, Yanni, there's something funny that was put up by the official LPL. It was the Jin win rate currently, which in the LPL sits at 0%. I actually have the stat here. It's 14 games in tier 1, and the only win was from Ruler the other night. So the other 13, and a few of those are from the LPL, no one has really managed to find success on this champion. Not even necessarily that the champion is super highly prioritized. Here we go. This is the graphic. Nice.
Yeah, I was talking with Slayer, fellow play-by-play caster on this wonderful broadcast, and he was like, he remains just mostly a situational pick, and it feels like the situation to pick him is almost never at this point, and it's a shame because there are compositions where he has been picked where it's like, Jin is a great pick here, right? You're able to go and you've got some poke, So it's like, you can root people up and you can really kind of spoon feed your carries that way, and he'll be a bit more of a utility piece, but it just hasn't worked out. One note that you had mentioned about seeing ReZero on the graphic is that it is Juhan, as we did see him step onto the stage, give his fist bump as both of these teams looking to get ready. So you did say that for OMG, you want to see some simpler, easier to execute drafts. My cornerstone for that is Malphite. Do you have a different cornerstone that you think OMG should be able to try to build around?
I think Malphite has found a little bit of middling success, but that can be up to what teams are playing him. I haven't really been looking at... I have the stat here as well. It's 17 jungle games around the world, 41% win rate, 11 in the LPL with a 45% win rate. So LPL has been prioritizing it the most. The next closest outside the LPL was the LCP with 3 games, and both the LCK and the LEC are winless on this champion. So something that the LPL has been finding success on. It's getting played quite a bit, as long as you can find a good spot for it in the draft. If it's a Malphite Orianna angle, that looks great. If you're against a Sylas or if you're against a Mundo, it has found a positive win rate against Mundo, but it can be really tough just the matchup alone to take down the Spellster. So I do like the Malphite, but for OMG, I think it's about team fighting. Maybe if you want to make some side lane play with a Pantheon look. So OMG, yeah, there we go, perfect. OMG chose counter pick. LGD chose blue side. So OMG want their 10th pick, support pick, 10th pick, top lane pick, maybe jungle. They've got something up their sleeve here, Yanni, that they feel comfortable at, or they want to see information before picking it.
You can already see, based off the bans, yeah, that Malphite was the first thing to kick the bucket, as LGD have realized maybe OMG will opt into this. Caitlyn ban getting drawn to CHØI. Not too surprised by that. This is a guy who has been really excellent on this champion throughout his career, and most notably...
Yo, Ali úp rổ for free. Anh đã biết những lời ngọt ngào cho tầng anh trước gương. Anh phải ngước mắt lên bầu trời, mong cho anh không yêu nhầm người. Không phải lựa chọn tôi. Anh xin mà nếu không. Ê, tôi không mở mic à. Cũng không ai nhắc tôi ấy. Cũng không ai nhắc tôi.
The cage, or the microwave, I guess you could call it. Yeah, the hot pot. There we go. Cataclysm and the Equalizer combo. Very nice. Getting a playmaking jungler for Juhan. Pretty standard counter pick here for Sasa. I would imagine a jungle answer. Oh, actually, just going to go with the mid. This is risky because you've got double carries who are stuck in the cage. Yes, Ryze can build a little bit tanky, but you'd probably want Merc Treads against something like a Talia or the Anivia.
See what OMG selects. It looks like it'll be a Talia for Haichao. It's a champion that at times he has been pretty solid on. Think Demacia Cup, and a champion that, well, if you saw in the earlier clips, made a bit of a misstep. And, you know, I think it is so difficult for this OMG team to try to pilot this champion, mostly because it doesn't fit the bill of what you said they need to do, right? In terms of just like really good team fighting. You leave yourself opportunities to maybe have some less than stellar Weaver's walls and some less than stellar map rotations.
Does opt for some pick potential and matches the global, at least, that Tang Yuan is going to be bringing out. We'll have to see how that mid lane matchup goes. My eyes, though, really on the support. I think that the support picks recently, last year, and still maintaining this year are the linchpins of team fights. If you can find a nice rel game,
ok, bích khá đẹp đến từ vị trí của các thành viên phía OMG.
Guys, please now. You're already 0-2-0-4.
Bên LGD bích đẹp hơn.
Please, anything but the Jhin at this point for these guys.
Bên LGD bích đẹp hơn. Yunara. Ok.
Opt into this Yunara. We'll see if LGD is going to opt for a full poke, or if they want to get some further engagement down in that bottom lane. You don't often see,
Tôi nghĩ vị trí bên phía các thành viên phía OMG họ vẫn ưu tiên cho việc là tôi check kèo. Để tôi check kèo. Không phải tôi không thể nào đưa ra nhận định không thế được đấy. Tôi cần biết đội nào cửa trên.
The poke variant. It's a nice rel angle here. Poppy, a choice for OMG now with the Wukong and the rel that have been selected. You could go Alistair, that's a typical handshake. Wow. I mean, this is great because it pairs with the Yunara. You can enchant Jarvan as well.
You can enchant the Rumble too in a fight. Like very
yêu nhau.
Underrated to get him in there with that flame spitter.
The thing is though, is that this is completely reliant on Haishao
and
Juhan.
Yeah.
Getting an engage, finding the team fights themselves. If the wing positioning isn't good, if there's no seismic shove. The seismic shove, there's no setup except for the EQ knock-up. So Juhan would have to fully commit to go in for that to find the knock-up, or the knock-back, I should say, sorry. And I guess you can knock someone up on the rocks, and that counts as a stun as well. But for LGD, they've got Cassante that will struggle into the run.
Với cái đội hình này, LCD sẽ không thua, OMG sẽ không thua đâu. Anh em trang minh delay hoặc là cộng 5,5 đi.
The Wukong engage, which into Yunara is really nice, and then a ton of burst damage with the Rise. Actualizer Rise, I think, is super strong. And Varus can go either build. We've seen a little bit of the on-hit start coming back. It's looked really good, Yanni, but poke is great this game to keep distance from the Yunara, keep distance from the Lulu. And I don't think that OMG can really get on top of you.
Yeah, and I think this is really hard for OMG most
of nào ở đây tôi sẽ cho tôi sẽ đi cho mình đó là OMG và cùng với đó là cộng 5,5.
Haishao obviously very polarizing lately. He got a lot of flack in 2025.
Theo những gì nhận định của các các bình luận viên nước ngoài thì họ đã đánh giá khá cao vào vị trí của các thành viên phía OMG, nhất là Harry. Đó là những gì mà bên bình luận viên nước ngoài họ đang nói thôi ấy. Ok, nào. Ủa mấy NBL đang đánh này.
Next series, I will be cheering on JDG. I will be JDG biased off of cast for until I am proven wrong.
We got EDG and Thunder Talk before that, my friend.
And that's I haven't seen a lot of perseverance.
Yeah, that's a real important game, to cut away for this one for a second. EDG has struggled themselves for a team that everybody's expected to do well. So there's a lot of great matchups today, a lot of compelling storylines. As we'll see if OMG are able to at least get their first individual game win. You see Moham walking up here. He's going to heal out of the crash down.
Oh, now.
Able to just get some poke off himself.
OMG start off with what looks like 3 pushing lanes. The top lane now going into Cassante's favor, but the Talia push, the bot lane push means that for Juhan can maybe look for an invade, can look to find an early gank, if potential blow rises flash early, because until Roa is completed, Merc Treads are completed, no TP on this rise. Actually, it's double combat summons for the mid lane, something that we're seeing more and more of in this mid lane, taking the Ghost, mostly the Ghost. Sometimes it's cleansed depending on the matchup, but it's been mostly Ghost on these 2 champions specifically. Let's chunk out in mid.
This is a big problem for Tangyuan. Did he flash away from those minion autos? Is he able to live? Look at the other side. Moham's up a little too far as Hung is ready to make the first.
Rồi nào, đi qua đây tấn công vào tất cả các thành viên bên phía OMG, găng một pha găng sớm và đó là một pha găng hiệu quả đến từ vị trí của thành viên bên phía LGD. Nhồi OMG. Nhồi OMG không? Nhồi OMG không? Hủ ấy. Rất là hủ ấy. Nó có thể là hủ không nhỉ?
And Juhan's able to dive bot lane with the Varus with that HP.
Wouldn't have looked very nice. Nhìn hình của OMG tôi thích quá.
In the mid lane, Tongyuan has to flash away from, I think he's predicting Haichao's flash, but Haichao held it. So both down Ghost, TongYuan down Flash. And this is what I was talking about, right? If you're able to burst the flash, burn the flash early, and I was kind of expecting a Juhan gank to get that off, but not needed. The flash is down. If you hit Cataclysm early, even just a flag and drag knock up into the seismic shove might spell the end for this Rise. There's no summoners.
We're seeing Juhan try to get in on this top side. He's up there clearing out as well. And it looks like they're meeting on the lines here at this tribe rush. Juhan does have the level advantage right now. Hong is going to be the one to say, hey, you know what? Get out of my jungle. I'll do whatever I can to force you out. I'll trade some of his health bar for it. We'll see if Juhan finishes this back, or if he anticipates this blue buff being done. Looks like he will just finish off and continue to try to play his own game and make an impact for his team.
Yeah, Varus, a champion like we were talking about earlier. 33 games in Tier 1 Global with a 70% win rate. A variety of builds, mostly the lethality, but some has been the on-hit coming back. Looked really, really nice in the game that it was played. But the champion provides so much, you know, utility, slow, anti-heal, the stun, range damage, burst potential, very safe.
Nào, ok. Vậy đánh như nào đây? Hàng gắt tiền luôn đến từ vị trước cái thằng phía OMG mặc dù là...
But Varus is... we finally got Callista out of the bot lane. She was dominant, like, I think it was all 2025 or most of it, or most of